Agent Albatross here again with the Cypher Unlimited crew. We have our usual suspects of AD or Alpha Dean or simply Dean. We have Spigs18 or Anthony. And Dean, what are we doing here today?
Well, today we're gonna, step out on a limb and give our opinions about the books. We're gonna rate them 4 stars to 1 star. 4 star being the greatest, must have, and make it do its thing. And we're gonna run it down from there. But Anthony's gonna go into more detail about exactly how we're gonna do this. But we figured this would be a much needed thing. Now we only picked a certain number of books. We didn't put everything out there, but we picked what we thought was the most important, and we're going to go through those.
All right. Yeah. First off, we picked only Cypher System related books, so that's the genres that are related with Cypher System. We have certain criteria of how we're going to rate these books, but I know Invisible Sun and No Thank You Evil will be 4 star or 4 Cypher games, but so that's just a given. If we were rating those books, we were rating Invisible Sun or No Thank You Evil, they will be 4 star for the record, but they're not Cypher System books, so we chose to remove them from this equation. So the basis of how we're going to rate these things, we're going to talk about the impact that it has in gaming and in Cypher System in general, how popular the book was with fans when it came out, or is the book still being utilized by GMs and players alike to this day, even though, after it came out? And last but not least, what our personal opinions are of each of the books. And now I'll break down the Cypher rating system. Oh, in my opinion, a 4 Cypher book, right, can't live without this book. It's probably the absolute best product that Money Cook Games made in regards to Cypher System. So anything that's 4 Cyphers, you got to have that book in your collection, like hands down, no doubt, right? If it's a 3-star book, it's a really great product to Cypher System, and it's contributed to the Cypher System as a whole in many different ways. So, I think as we go through this list, a lot of our favorite books will probably fall in this category. All right, a 2-star book it's a good product that has really cool stuff in it that players and GMs can both use and utilize and still utilize. And last but not least, a 1 Cypher product would be, it's an okay product that could have been better with some additions or subtractions. And then we'll hand it off to Al, and we're going to work with you guys. So, this isn't just us filling out this list. It's us and the Cypher Unlimited family. We'll work out this list together because I'm pretty sure there's going to be some disagreements along the way. So I'm excited for that.
Real quick, and what I'll do, just to keep everything kind of organized, I'm going to keep our numbers, whatever we rate each book personally, and then that'll give them an average, and I'll have a list and we can post that, when we post it up on Facebook.
We actually have a chart here on the Discord.
Yeah. I know we have a chart, but I'm saying I'm going to make our averages because, like, if you give a book a 4, I give it a 3, Al gives it a 3, then the average rating is such and such from the Cypher Unlimited crew.
And one last thing Dean made me think of, we picked 17 books. We picked 17 books that we thought were the most impactful, but, like Numenera has 40 books. So if we would have put all the Numenera books, this would be a 4-hour video. So we try to pick, the most impactful books that we could think of, but if we missed the book, don't hesitate to put it in chat and we'll try to fit it in if we can.
Yeah. So yeah, let's just we gotta subscribe. Hey, thanks for that. Really appreciate it, Jason. That's awesome. Thank you so much. But yeah, let's that's a great way to start off this. And
what's the first book, Al?
I'm just gonna move my mouse around randomly. Yeah, kind of as random as I could. We're gonna start with, what did I pick here? It looks like Gods of the Fall.
Oh, Gods of the Fall.
This looks like Gods of the Fall. Yeah. Sorry, the images are tiny. I'm pretty sure that's Gods of the Fall. But I see the lightning. And that looks like it. I'm pretty sure it's Gods of the Fall. So Gods of the Fall, where does that stand with y'all? Personally, I really enjoy the book. It has a lot of nice stuff in it. The setting's really nice. I would probably, if I'm just gonna throw out a number, just without elaborating, probably a 3 or a 2, probably a 2.5. A lot of nice stuff in there. It's not a book I look at often though, or even think about looking at often. The ideas presented are very good. There is enough for you to build off of with the whole, like, reborn gods. They're being hunted by the people who don't want gods. I forget the exact wording of the exact setting. Anthony probably knows a little bit better. But yeah, the mechanics were a little bit, as far as like adding stuff for like feeling super godly, if that makes sense. Like, it was very cool though. All the flavorings and stuff in there, very, very on point. But again, I don't always feel like a strong urge. Like when I'm thinking about a new game, I'm not always like, hey, I'm gonna do a Gods of the Fall game. Like it's not something that instantly comes to the forefront of my mind when I'm thinking of a book to pick up for a new potential one shot.
So, are you saying that you leaning 2, or are you saying you're leaning 3?
I would say I'll lean towards 2 for this one.
Dean, you want to go, or you want me to go?
You go ahead. And guys, just so you know, I'm going to put the images up behind me.
Yeah, that's actually really cool, Dean.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to be offset a little bit on this.
Yeah. My initial, when you first said it, my initial thought process was that this is a 3, because you guys both know I've actually run a lot of Gods of the Fall. But a couple of things that are making me lean towards a 2 is, one is out of the original, like 3 core, like new setting books, right? What new did this bring to Cypher System besides bringing in the fantasy setting, which I'm kind of scared that Tolus and God Forsaken is going to kind of make this irrelevant, if that makes any sense.
Most definitely makes sense.
And the only thing I can really think of mechanic wise that it like brought it to the forefront was tweaking, power shifts, for lack of a better term, into divine shifts, and giving you a creative way of how to narratively use power shifts to fit into a setting. So that was cool. But yeah, I kind of agree with Al. I think this is a 2 Cypher book.
And I would tend to disagree. I think it's a 3. Honestly, only because of its timing. It was the first and foremost. It brought a different slant on fantasy. Number one. The only other place you ever really saw something like this was like Exalted. And I think this handled it much better, number one. Number two, I think that it won't become obsolete, but it'll actually become a really good piece to plug in with God Forsaken, and Tallest, and Diamond Throne for that matter, because this will give people a way to play epic level fantasy, if you will. So I think, plugging it in that way and looking at it as a whole. And then, I'm kind of partial to the lore too. I've run a few God Forsaken games myself, and just the whole unfolding of the lore kind of works really, really well. It's kind of unique onto itself, in the sense that, where other games, you're just, a god or something reborn. This one is more like, the fate of the lands are in your hands, so to speak. So that's just my take on it. And
where do you rank in it though?
And
honestly, you kind of changed my opinion a little. I forgot really the setting is. I love the Gods of the Fall setting. Yeah, so
I'm giving it a 3.
Yeah, I'll go 3 with the option of when God Forsaken's come out that it'll drop down to a 2. But I'll go 3. I'll go 3 with Dean. Yeah, Dean's right. The setting is pretty unique.
So on our tier list here, what we're gonna just go with what we majority
vote. Let's ask the audience.
Yeah, what do y'all think about Gods of the Fall? Where does Gods of the Fall fall on this? I believe Malfections already said a 1 at the beginning.
We already know Malfections isn't gonna like too much of anything, but it's okay.
But it's looking like a 2 or a 3 for Gods of the Fall. somewhere 2.5 at one.
All right, so we'll put it for 3 for now. Just because we put it doesn't mean it has to
Stay there. Yeah, we can easily move it around. There's no biggie. So yeah, for 3 for now. Like you know, y'all both think it's a 3. I thought it was a 2.5 basically. So 3, we can go with 3. Yep. Moving on.
I'm gonna put you down for a 2.5.
Oh, you're actually writing it? Yeah, go for it. 2.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna put them in because I'm gonna average everything out and throw it up there. You know.
Go. We'll make a tier list, an actual like image of it too.
Yeah, I'm curious to look at this list a year from now to see what.
Oh, better than Exalted. That's not a high enough bar.
Oh, that's a very high bar. Exalted had a lot of good ideas.
But yeah, let me go on to another book as randomly as I can. Is this one? Stars of Fire. Stars of Fire. So
Dean, you went. I would say let Dean go first because he went last.
Oh yeah, that works. Yeah, so Dean, Stars of Fire. What is that? I'm not. It's not number 2. I'm just putting it up here so y'all know we're talking about it.
All right. So Stars of Fire. Let's see. How do I feel? You know, and see, I kind of feel that way with Stars of Fire. Stars of Fire is like, I like what it wanted to do, but I don't think the execution was there, and I've been left a little dry with it in places. So for me, it's kind of a 1.5.
Whoa.
You know, it don't get me wrong. It has some interesting mechanics. You know, with the red line maneuvers and the expanded equipment list and so on and so forth, but I don't know. I feel a little lackluster with it. If you guys kind of understand what I'm saying.
I definitely do get what you're saying. Well, should I chime in here now, Anthony? I don't know if we have an order.
We'll reverse the order. I'll go last and then next.
That's fine. We'll just mix it up, however. Well, either way. I do get what you're saying. To me, I'm not a heavy reader, right? You guys know I don't read much, right? It's hard for me to sit down and actually like read through a book. Like I struggle with that for whatever reason. Stars of Fire doesn't help that, if that makes sense. It's written in a very like technical way, if that makes sense. Like it's worded very particularly, and again, what it presents, the like the setting, the mechanics, all that stuff is cool and whatnot, but for some reason, just how it's written down, it's hard for me to like really engage with it, if that makes sense. It's harder sci-fi, yeah, so like that stuff kind of goes over my head when it starts getting more technical and whatnot. And I don't know if maybe the writing style like developed because of it's harder sci-fi or whatnot, where even when he's not talking about like this like super high level sci-fi stuff, whatever, or tech or whatever, it still comes off as very mechanical, if that makes sense. Like I'm finding hard to find words to really describe what I mean. But aside from that, the stuff it does present is really cool. Like the vehicle mechanics, the redlining maneuvers, all that stuff is really good for inspiration for doing other things, in my opinion. Like I personally wouldn't use the Stars of Fire setting itself. I would take all this stuff. Thank you for the follow, by the way. I would take all this stuff and use it for something else, like Power Rangers or like something that is vehicle heavy. But I think that's my take on it. It would probably be a solid 2 for me on this one.
This is funny because I was initially going to say a 2, but I'm going to say a 3, and here's the reason why. For the same reason why Dean convinced me that Gods was a 3, but the exact opposite. I'm with your guys. I'm not the biggest fan of the setting, but mechanically, Stars of Fire brought a lot to the Cypher system. It brought the revised combat ship rule mechanics. It brought, space, a more defined space travel mechanic. So for sheer mechanics wise, it had the same impact that Gods of the Fall had setting wise. And for that reason, I would have to give it a 2.53. So we have a 1,
2, and 3,
a 2 or 3. So now the final is the audience.
I don't think anyone's chimed in yet.
No. Somebody said it was a 3.
Malfectious 3. Davidson
Anthony.
Ken is a 3.
Anthony.
Yeah.
And I'll actually push mine to a 2 because of what you just said.
So then, what we put in this on the list 3? Because we got two.
So then
we got
it goes
two
to
3s from
3.
the crowd. Yeah.
Yeah, we have 2, 3. No, the crowd is 3. I'm a 3. And you're 2 or 2. So it'll be go to a 3.
Yeah, we'll put that at 3. Makes sense. They're like, I think that's a good.
But I
rating.
do agree with Dean that I'm not a hard sci-fi setting guy. I'm the Star Wars over Star Trek guy. So, but I know that I'm not that audience, which is a different too. Because sometimes you don't have to be the audience for it.
For me, I love Star Trek. I love The Expanse. I love that kind of stuff. There's just something in that just didn't strike me. I wasn't excited. You know what I'm saying? And I can't tell you what it is that's missing for me. But hey, but again, it's still a great book. It's still useful. It's definitely something on my shelf that will always be there. And I will, like Al said, pull it out. It's definitely a preference.
That's another reason why I voted for a 3, because even if I don't use the setting, that's a book that I pull out a lot. Because like if I'm going, oh hey, I want to do a chase scene, I go to Stars of Fire because you could find those mechanics in that book. You know what I mean? So I use that book a lot. That's why I definitely went with a 3.
Makes sense.
Sounds good.
All right, moving it along. Let's pick another book. I'll go with Predation.
Oh, this is.
So y'all, I'll start off 4. I'm just gonna start off 4. Predation is a 4. Y'all already know the companion mechanics are off the hook. the setting itself off the hook. You're in high tech in the past with dinosaurs. Like, what's not to love? The types presented, like the T-Rex, I'm blanking all the 4 of them. They're really solid.
Osteron, the Karn.
Yeah. Then what's the 4th one? Osteon, Karn, T-Rex, and Tech is the 4th one. And yeah, this shit is amazing. It's amazing. I can't say, like, y'all already know. I'll let them talk about it.
You see, I'm gonna say 3.5, but I want to reserve my 4 for specific books that I think hit all 4 stages of our criteria. And don't get me wrong, it's high up there. Out of all the setting books, it probably has the best setting, right? Then it gives you new mechanics that get utilized besides Predation. There's plenty of stuff for the player and the GM to mind, and it was a very popular book. So, yeah, I'm going to go 3.5, but my 3.5 is like a 4, so I would... Yeah, 3.5 is my vote.
I give it a 5. Ken's like, I give it a 5. We gotta make a brand new tier for it. 5 Cyphers.
And I'm right there with you, Anthony. It's definitely 3.5 in my book. You know, I do have a couple of books that I'm going to give 4s to, or maybe one book, I don't know. But this is definitely a 3.5 because, you know, how can you go wrong with dinosaurs with mounted lasers? You know, genetically engineering. You know,
time travel. Like, there's just so much.
Listen, I still think I had the coolest companion ever. Was my 10-foot, genetically engineered 10-foot tall, 2-ton T-Rex named Biggie Smalls. So, you know, I'm sorry. Biggie Smalls is my man. You know, and Anthony, no, yeah, it was you, Anthony. When we played, you was like, "You're killing me, Smalls." So I mean, so you know, yeah. You can't say enough good things about it. It introduced the companion mechanic. It introduced the idea of, you know, futuristic ideologies, you know, in the Cretaceous period, you know, so you kind of, it was kind of like a triple threat there because it made you, you know, relive your childhood. Well, I think all of us were crazy about dinosaurs at some point. You know, and you know, you get to pull out that stuff, and then it's an RPG, and then of course you get futuristic stuff. So, yeah, 3.5 all day.
Yeah, it covers all the bases for me. So what does chat say?
Well, I saw Ken said 5, so that automatically bumps up our average to a 4.
Anybody else in chat have a rating for Predation? Because right now we got 2 3.5s and 1 4.
Out of 5.
Out of 5.
Just saying.
Brilliant. Loser
Even though 5 is not technically on the list, I'll allow it for predation.
Brilliant loser. Biggie Smalls, I'm gonna tell you, we just have to play a game and have to put it back out. You'll love it.
Big T Smalls, I love it. But
So-
we'll throw that in a 4 for now.
Yeah, it has to go in the 4.
Most
Probably, yeah.
definitely. All right, let's move it along. What is this book? I think that's Expanded Worlds. Expanded Worlds is a very good book. Like, that's an amazing toolbox. Like, I'm just gonna throw it in 3 right now because I know it's gonna be up there somewhere.
So I'm gonna start this one off. Expanded Worlds is my book that I was give a 4 to. Expanded Worlds did a lot of things right, and because it expanded upon the whole concept of like the post-apocalyptic, even though we had that in Numenera, you know, it gave you this idea about running more realistic games with historical ideologies and stuff like.
Oh yeah, I'll just. Yeah.
Elements that worked, you know, and for me it was a book that book anytime.
Wait, all audio is out? Wait. They said audio is out. I think we're good. All right, no, we're good. We're good.
Okay. That was basically what I was saying though, is that's a book that no matter what I'm getting ready to work on, what game I'm running, it's always within reach. It's always an arm's length away, you know. You know, the fact that it gave me more descriptors, the fact that it gave me more foci before the Cypher System Revised Edition came out.
Hey, Dean, do you want to start from the beginning of what you said because it did get cut off for whatever reason?
Yeah, and I'm posting the criteria in chat anyway.
Basically, what I said was that Cypher System, Expanded Worlds is a 4 for me because it added so many elements and it expanded upon the whole idea of what Cypher System was all about. The fact that it gave you more post-apocalyptic stuff, you know, so it advanced Numenera for me and gave me other options within that ideal. It, you know, gave us the forerunner to We Are All Mad Here with the fairy tale stuff. It gave us the ability to, you know, do more realistic type gaming because it gave you the first touches on doing historical things and stuff like that. Expanded Worlds, like I said, then of course more descriptors, more foci, you know. It gave me an insight into creating foci, you know, because I actually created foci before, you know, started creating foci, and it was just all of those type things about it. I love Expanded Worlds, one of my favorite books. Must have.
I will definitely, even though I personally have not used it a super ton, it is definitely a 4 rating book. Like, there's just so much stuff in that book, like character options, setting stuff, like it's just the whole package. Like, and it has so many different genres that it touches on, and it gives so much advice on these like genres. Like, it's just an overall amazing toolbox to own if you don't own it. It's just so good.
I give it a hard 3. Expanded Worlds is actually one of my favorite books, but the reason why I don't give it a 4 per se is because it's some people don't like universal generic, just I'm gonna make up my own stuff on the fly, and it doesn't help as much if someone's strictly a Numenera or the Strange or, you know, player. But for me personally, as a GM, it's one of the, I think every GM should have Expanded Worlds and another book that's on this list in their library for sure. So for me, it's a hard 3. It's actually one of my favorite books, but for the simple reason that if you're a sole Numenera GM or something like that, then it might not be useful to everyone, and it might not be useful to players. It's more of a GM's book.
Real quick. To address that, Delira, and you may have come in a little late, we did state that the Black Cube, you know, Invisible Sun, and No Thank You Evil are 4s in their respective categories, but we're dealing strictly with Cypher System tonight. So, and what, is it or isn't. So, yeah, definitely a 4 with the black cube.
Yeah,
Brilliant,
without a doubt.
Yeah.
brilliant product.
IS and No Thank You Evil definitely force for Cypher products.
Absolutely.
I mean, just for the impact that both those games alone had in the gaming industry, there would be, 4 on that level alone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
So I had a 3 on my list. So
that definitely makes sense. That's actually an excellent point to bring up. That it is more of a GM toolkit than something that players will most likely look at. Don't get me wrong, there are options in there. I believe like character options, like I think descriptors and foci. So players do get something out of that if they're looking to expand their options a little bit more. But it's definitely a stronger tool for the GM for sure.
And in that respect, yeah, I'm definitely coming from a GM standpoint when I make the statements that I make. Just normally the position I sit in. But it's also quite useful. I've used, several of the descriptors right out of that book on more than one occasion. I love the adroit descriptor. I love the relentless descriptor. I love the young descriptor.
Oh shit.
Those.
that's why Young is from Expanded Worlds.
Yeah, young is like awesome. You get +2 in 2 categories. You get a little hindrance in intellect because people don't take you seriously. I mean, there's a lot of cool aspects in there. So yeah.
Yeah.
And the cover's badass. You got to give the cover some
Cover
Cover is badass. Yes. So where are we throwing this on the list for now? 3 or 4, gentlemen?
Well, I got it written down. I'm taking all of our numbers, and what I'm going to do at the end, I'm going to give the overall.
I had 3.
average.
Dean had 4, right?
And I had 4 also. I'm dragging the wrong book here. Stars of Fire.
You had 4?
Yeah.
I had 3.
I got it.
So
written.
what?
So I'm gonna average everything out at the end, and we'll just throw it up.
Well, Eric, tonight we are discussing major releases for Cypher System, or that use the Cypher System rules.
And we're rating them.
We're rating them, yeah. And we're not discussing Invisible Sun or No Thank You Evil because they're 4s and they don't really use the Cypher System. I mean they do, but they don't. You know what I mean.
So what did the chat say about Expanded Worlds? What did they rate them as?
I didn't see anyone comment on Expanded Worlds.
Ken said he hasn't read it, but he's used it for making characters. Eric Frankow said guys are falling at the bottom.
Nah,
he came in late. Yeah, that's funny. So we'll toss it up 4.
Said it's a 4.
We'll toss it up on 4 for now.
Nah, I want to leave it at 3.
We'll leave it at 3. We'll leave it at 3.
We're gonna leave it. Like I said, I got the numbers.
Yeah, for now, for the sake of the stream, we'll leave it at 3, and then we'll have the true tier list with the averages at the end. All right, so moving along.
No, actually, but in all honesty, the 2 of your guys voted 4, so you outvoted me, so it should be a 4.
All right, so 4 it is.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah.
All right, moving it along. Let's pick this one. I can't even see what title this is. It's a blue one. I don't even know what book this is, honestly. What's this blue covered one?
Oh, that's the Instant Adventure series.
There we go. See, I'm so bad. Like
the reason why I put this on the list is because Monte Cook Games revolutionized the way you do adventures. They give you a 2-page adventure, 20 in a book. 10 to 15 adventures in a book. And I think this is I'll go first. It's definitely not a 4 because it only impacts the GM, but this is a solid 3 to me because I've never read such high quality adventures and the quantity that you get for $20 from any other company. So not only do they do it, I mean, I could have chose the strange ones. Numenera didn't matter, but I just like the concept of the short, 4-page adventure that covers all the bases.
This is definitely again, I haven't read it much yet. I didn't even recognize the cover. But because you guys know I mostly make up my I never look at pre-written stuff, like almost never. But the fact that it's a very short, like, formatted type, this would be the type of written adventure I would look at. Something short and sweet, something for me to play around with. This is something that the more, I wouldn't say improv GM, but like the GM that wants to really input stuff into the pre-written thing. This is your jam right here. And with that, I would probably put it at a 3 for those GMs who are looking for like adventures to play around with.
I rarely run written adventures, but this is not necessarily. You don't have to use it as a since it's 4 pages. You could just take the fight scene out. You know what I mean? You can literally just use it for inspiration and run your own, whatever crap you want to run. You know what I mean? The way it's written and designed is like perfect for the experienced GM, the improv GM, and the person that doesn't know what they're doing and needs some guidance.
So once again, the consensus on this one is unanimous. We all give them 3s. And the instant adventure book series, I think all of them, Adventure Keys, the one for the strange, they're all pretty solid. And I call them solid in the sense, like we said, they are GM tools, but what makes them so good is like Anthony was saying, improvisational GM or a person who needs to run it straight. I run a lot of these adventures because at least one of them is normally run at Gen Con, and then they end up stuffing them in one of these books. The last one I ran was Flight of the Seraph out of Adventure Keys. Brilliant, great adventure. It runs in 4 hours. In all of these adventures, well, Monty Cook games in general, is something that I think we as a community should try to, kind of get people to embrace. They give you the tools to be improvisational. They give you the tools to embellish. They give you the tools to put your mark on the adventures. And that being said, that's why this gets a solid 3. It's because that's what they do. They encourage it almost, and what's really cool about them is that you can add and subtract as necessary. I'm running that at con, and it's always cool because, if I need to add something, there's stuff in there to add, but there's places for me to add my own stuff. And if I need to subtract something because of time, it's just really, really, like Anthony said, it does revolutionize the way you kind of look at an adventure. And the other thing about them, the other aspect I give is that these adventures have everything. They have combat, they have social interactions, they have, role play opportunities, And
another point that, not to cut you off, Dean, but another point that we forgot to mention is that you could run these adventures pretty much concurrently if you wanted to.
Yes, you could.
You know what I mean? Because it's not one set tier. The way it's designed, you could easily adjust it. So, like we said, these are hard 3 for us. Let's ask the panel. Let's ask the chat what they think. Like, does anyone have a vote on this before we move on to the next book?
I already have an idea for the next book, because it's a little different.
Delirium said 4. Brilliant Loser said 3.
3. We're seeing some
3.
solid 3s.
Yeah.
Not needed, but sick. Yeah, 3. Yeah, solid
Brian
3.
said 3. Cool.
Yeah. Which title? This is the Instant Adventures title, Eric. Or that's the one we're trying to get.
We do make a good point. He says it's not just for the GM. They empower the players to come up with their own solutions, and the GM can go, sure, that works because the keys are flexible. You're right.
Yep.
It's awesome. It's just awesome all around. All right, so for the next book, I'm going to go... Oh, shit, I scrolled all the way down. Next book, we're going to go with something a little different. I should have asked you about these books before we started this, but let's go with your best game ever. Or, that's not a Cyphers, it's not a game. It's not a setting book.
I'm going to go first because I'm probably going to have... I'm going 2.
Me too.
I'm going 2, not because I don't think it was well written, not because I don't think that it was a great book, but I'm just doing it from my personal perspective. It really wasn't for me. It wasn't a book that, like, a lot of the advice I kind of knew already, but I can understand for people that, don't, haven't been gaming for 30 years. It's very helpful. I enjoyed reading it. Not only did I read the physical book, I heard the audio on my way to work a couple of times. It was a good read, but I'm going to. I didn't get much out of it, you know.
Personally, I'm going to give it a 1.5. It's not high on my list either. And basically for the same reason that Anthony said. I've been doing this for over 40 years. A lot of the advice, I mean, the best I can say is what it did for me was that it jogged certain things, you know, it made me aware of certain things that, you know, I kind of took for granted that, you know, I could pull to the forefront. So it was useful in that respect. And I think for people just starting out, especially people who are going to start out in Cypher or more narrative type games, it's a wonderful tool, you know. And if I was, you know, a couple of years into my career as, you know, GMing and all of that, I'd probably give it much higher marks. But for me, it's a 1.5.
A couple people in chat brought us a good points. They said, I think it's solid advice. I wish I had got when I got started. Totally agree, but I learned it already. So it's more like a personal. Like, I understand this is somebody else would have a different opinion, but for me personally, it is what it is.
I have to agree a little bit, even though, again, I'm the newer guy here. You know, I learned a lot from you guys. I learned a lot from, well, mostly just you guys, honestly. But I feel like the book is more helpful to people who have a little less confidence and they're a little unsure of how they, you know, want to proceed, how they want to handle GMing, how they want to handle their games. This is an excellent tool for that person who has that little bit of unsureness about themselves, that little lack of confidence, something like that. And it is awesome. Again, they had a lot of nice writers on the book, like, you know, come on, share their like advice, their stories, whatnot. That was excellent. It was a nice collaborative piece. Don't get me wrong.
Eric brings up a good point, and I agree with you, Eric. Yes, it was a bunch of people with their short stories about games and how they handle things. But in the day and age that we live in, this is what a lot of people look for. You know, we live in the day of Twitch streams and YouTube and advice and so on and so forth. So what better way to, you know, give somebody help, you know, it's just that, you know, and that's, you know, pretty good. You know, it was good for what it was. And, you know, I agree with, you know, other people say if we had it when we first started gaming, it would have been, you know, it'd probably been like the Bible.
It was a great read for sure. Without a doubt, it was a great, enjoyable read.
I would still say.
What did you vote, Al? I'm sorry.
I would say it's like a solid 2.
All right, so we 2 across the board. What's chat's vote?
1s and 2s.
Great read once.
It's a 1, and he said it would be a 4 if you would just start out.
Yeah, well, 4 is the best, 1 is lowest. I don't know if Eric knows if 4 is the best or lowest or whatever.
Yeah, Eric, it's the reverse order. 4 is the best.
It's like stars, like 4 stars.
I was gonna, because I knew. First of all, I don't think Eric would give anything a 4. So, Eric's the kind of person that wouldn't give it something he wrote himself a 4.
Yeah.
So,
but we'll give it a solid 2 stars out of 2 ciphers out of 4 ciphers, just to be more explicit about how we're ranking these. It's 2 ciphers out of 4, not stars. We're doing ciphers. All right, I think we can move it along though. Yeah, you know, it's the 2 or 3, like 2.5 rating for this book is like, it really depends on the audience, really, right? Like, if you're a newer GM, this is probably a higher up on there for you. If you
can only hold 3 ciphers at tier 1. That means anything we give a 4 is a tier 2 book.
Oh, this guy. Or whatever tier you end up getting the cipher increased limits.
Eric, we're only talking about Cypher System. We're not talking about Invisible Sun or No Thank You Evil.
Even though we do have this book and another book, we might as well just throw the other book that's not like a setting book up there right now. So, Consent in Gaming, a very, you know, controversial thing when it came out. Not a game book, obviously, but a very important tool for running games. I will say it, you know. I definitely put it at a 3, just because of what it brings to people's mindsets. What you call it? It's. I love my mouse porn. It's the Among Us guys. It's awesome, and it changes when it's a link, so you get the guy who just killed somebody. It's amazing. I love it. But anyways,
Don't let my daughter see that, because then she's gonna be like, "I want that."
it's easy to install it. But anyways, I give it a 3 again, mostly because it's an awesome thing. I would put it at a 4 if it was like a gaming product, like, you know, if we were talking about like if it was a setting or something, whatever, you know. For it being a tool to help with your games, it's a 3. Like, it's awesome. It's awesome because it does bring that discussion to light, like that consent discussion, which is oftentimes missed, and it is crucial to running a game where everyone feels comfortable. So we got to throw it high on the list. Yeah, I'll let you guys talk about a little.
It's a 2 for me. I mean, it is. I mean, again, I get it, but I feel like if you've been doing this a long time, you have those discussions anyway. You know, before I had a label for a session 0, I was doing a session 0. You know, I've always talked to people at the table. I realized that, especially bringing it to the forefront, you know, these days as a tool to use when you're dealing with new people was the enlightening portion of it, which means it was definitely useful. So I'll even make it a 2.5, but you know, like I said, but it was something that I've always kind of done. So that's my personal opinion about it. It is a great thing. You know, the checklist is kind of cool. You know, all the controversy over it, I don't understand it, but it is what it is.
It's a 4 for me, hands down. And I'll tell you why it's a 4 for me. And not that I totally agree with everything in the document. That's not why I think it's a 4. Why I think it's a 4 is that it brought up the conversation in the forefront, and it caused a discussion for the people that, whether you agree with it or disagree with, people had strong opinions about it, but people were talking about the topic, about consent, about people feeling comfortable at the table. So whether I agree with, you know, everything in the document is irrelevant. I think that the discussion that occurred because of the document, the impact it had not only in Cypher System, but in gaming. You know, you have people that didn't play Monica games at all doing videos, you know, talking about it, pro or con, you know. So I think that alone made it a 4. And if we look at our criteria, is it something that players and GMs could use? Yes, because they could both get something out of it. Is it something that you go back to? Yes, because you use it multiple times in multiple games. The impact it had in gaming, yes. It hits all the points. So that's why I give it a hands down number 4. And for the record, I kind of agree with Dean about some of the aspects of the document, but that's not why I'm voting. I'm voting a 4 because the sheer impact it had in the industry.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, I still give it a 3 personally, but I can get where you're coming from.
I'm sticking with my 2.5, but, you know, I can see how you could feel that way.
So we'll throw we saw Jesus said it's a 4 for him. What else? You got 3 for Delarian. Document itself maybe a 2. So I'd say the average is about to like 2, 3 based on all of us.
What's the next book?
For New Gems, definitely 4. But either way, 3, 4. Oh, welcome back, Ken. All right, next book. Let's go with. I think this is Jade Colossus. Jade Colossus, a really neat book.
yeah, that's why I put it on the list, because it's the only full book adventure I put on the list, but because of the random mechanics of all the generators, they added something new to the Cypher System. That's why I put it on. Who wants to go first?
I'll take this one. Actually, Jade Colossus was a book I looked forward to. I dug the Ruin generator, the fact that it made the Ruin deck as well. You know, kind of found its life because of it. It's one of those books that, you know, can be useful, especially if I'm running Numenera, or if I'm going to run. Even if I decide that you don't do fantasy, I use it to build my dungeon crawls and stuff like that. It also brought to light a few new foci. It it just and it had a solid story once again that can be injected into anybody's game. It did it. One of the biggest things that I won't say stresses me out, that I just abhor, is when when you get a game and they give you these mega adventures and you get have to kind of railroad the players to get through it. That's irritating. And this is another prime example, even with an adventure this size, that you don't have to railroad your players. There's room for, them to go off the rails, and then bring them back around, which is kind of cool. So I liked it for that reason. So for me, it's a solid 3.
For me, it's a 2.5. From a GM's lens, it's a solid 3, but just that it's like, for all the reasons Dean said, the dungeon generator could be used not only in this year-long campaign book adventure, which is a phenomenal adventure, by the way, but it could be used in many other settings besides Numenera the Strange. You could use the concept of the generation of rooms for pretty much any game you're running. So that alone is makes it a 3 for a GM. But since it's an adventure that could only be utilized by half the player base, I have to give it a 2. But the reason why I put it on this list is because it is one of the better Monte Cook Games adventures. But I can't foresee myself ever giving an adventure a 4 grade anyway.
I would say this is either a 2 or 3, and depending on the answer to this question, because I'm blanking on the answer to this question, y'all can probably help me out with this. Does it have descriptor or foci in it? I can't remember that.
It does.
Yeah, it does.
That bumps it up to a 3 for me then. It has those character options, and the reason it's a 3 was what you guys were saying. That dungeon generator, that whole ruin mechanic, that's just phenomenal for anything. Like, you need a real quick dungeon for anything you're running, no matter what the genre is. Whip out Jade Colossus and Big Bang.
And for the
boom.
record, the straight adventure is fire too. The adventure itself is freaking awesome.
I don't read much adventures.
No, it is. Like I said, all those factors. That's why I gave it a 3.
Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna toss it down to a 3 there.
Did you ask chat?
Yeah, what do y'all think, chat? Y'all who have it. Yeah, the Jade Colossus is definitely a worthwhile book to own. Malfectious gives it a 10. I think he uses a bunch, so I think that's a 5 from him, because I allowed the 5 for predation.
Delirian says he don't know ranking. They don't know ranking GM focused material or makes sense. A great resource for GMs can make their games better for players.
That's a true point. That's a great point.
It is awesome. I would definitely again pop it up to a 3, or I do give it a 3 because it is excellent, but it's not a must have where the 4s are. It is definitely a phenomenal book. Again, we could say this about every book. I'm gonna say it anyway. Art is gorgeous. Like, the cover is amazing. Like, we can say that about pretty much all the books though.
Yeah,
but
the cover art of Jade Colossus rocks too.
Yeah, it's super cool. You can see it behind Dean there. Like, at least most of it.
It's immersive.
Yeah.
I remember when I first looked at that cover, I was like, damn.
So yeah, we'll drop Jade Colossus off at a 3. Next, let's go with Unmasked. I'll let Dean start off with that.
Unmasked, it has its place on this list. It really, really does.
That's it. It's
not good. And it's not good when it says it has its place.
It's not even like it doesn't mention. It's like, it is definitely a book. Like, that's essentially what he just said.
Spine and pages.
Are you guys gonna let me?
Go ahead, Dean. I'm sorry.
Anybody who knows me knows superheroes is my shit. Put it real simple. That's my jam. I run superheroes in every type of genre, from horror to sci-fi to historical. You name it, I've done it.
Man.
The problem I had with Unmasked is that it did not deliver in the department of you know, what you expect when you get a book that they tell you you're going to get a superhero setting. It followed the standard ideology of all the rest of the books. It kind of gave you a rethinking of the types. It gave you a couple of foci, gave you a couple of descriptors, um, and that frustrated me because superhero games should have powers and superheroic abilities. And shameless plug, go out and get my heroic essentials because I created, you know, several, about 10 more foci just because of this game, or actually 12 or 14, something like, I don't know how many, but whatever it is, go out and get heroic essentials and you'll see what I'm talking about. Um, Now, where it did work, one of the best things about it was the duality, you know, giving you a normal form and a heroic form, which again can become quite useful for other games. You know, the whole idea of if you wanted to do mechs and things like that. You know, I use that concept for when I had to run a Power Rangers game for my son and some of his friends. You know, so they had the Power Ranger form and then they had their Megazord form. You know, their Zord form. So those were the good things about it. But because I was so sorely disappointed, I mean, oh, let me say this too: the setting had some good things about it, but it it did not deliver me initially. He's laughing at me.
You know why I'm laughing? Because I have a feeling. You ever have somebody like break up with you and they tell you all these nice things about you before they say, "I never want to see you again in my life"? I feel like that's what you're doing.
But again, like I said, it was that, and the setting from uh, the initial stuff that you got in the playtest material, the initial description of the setting, it veered away from that too. So, you know, it hurt. You know, it hurt me. So I do have the book. I do reference it periodically because I do like some of the setting material. I've actually run a few unmasked campaigns, and we've had a
What
lot
do
of
you
fun
rate
with it.
it, Dean?
It's a 1.25.
I'll go because I'll pull the band-aid off. I'll give it a 1. Any superhero book that doesn't have superpowers in it doesn't deserve to be a superhero RPG. The setting was good, but it was a superhero RPG that literally gave you 6 powers.
So
For
one,
that one reason alone, it gets a 1 for me.
one and one.
Let me chime in because I do agree, honestly. Like, I know we're all super excited to get that book because, like, hey, we're gonna get mad powers, we're gonna get mad descriptors, we're gonna get mad foci, like it's gonna be awesome. And then we get the book and we got like the four, 6 foci, a couple descriptors, like 4, 6, whatever. And they're nice. They're good foci. Don't get me wrong. They're one of my favorite foci in there. Travels through time, I believe, is from that book.
It is.
And that's a really fun foci. But it is definitely what you call it, a like a 1 or a 2. Like the setting is really good. The teen hero mechanic really good. Good inspiration for other things like Power Rangers or like Magical Girl or whatever have you. But again, the fact that we got a superhero book without like 10 plus powers in it, that would just hurt. It actually hurt.
Well,
Brian and I made a joke. He said, as soon as MCG puts out a superhero book for CSR, I think Dean's going to set his copy of Unmasked on fire.
hey, like, let's be realistic. Even the setting, right? And this is not, the setting was interesting and unique, but out of all the Cypher core,
The Worlds of Cypher System.
the Worlds of Cypher book, isn't that the least interesting one, if we're being honest?
Yeah.
Was it Predation, Gods of the Fall? Yeah, yeah. Even though it is good. Like the whole '80s, that whole vibe.
The problem, like I said, with that setting, the initial concept that they were talking about rocked, but they didn't go that route, because they were talking about, of course, the otherworldly thing and the reason why kids, only teenagers, were getting the abilities, and they were talking about this institution it just had so many levels of coolness that the book didn't deliver, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was fun when we played it. Like we played your campaign. I had a great time. The setting is fun, right? But it wasn't what I expected. When I heard superheroes, I was like, "Oh man, this book is gonna be filled with." Gods of the Fall had more abilities than a superhero book.
Gods of the Fall was more of a superhero. Is really more of a superhero game.
Mm-hmm.
When you really think about it, because you're not really gods. You're like demigods.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really cool in that respect. And you're right, Brian. It's going to join DC's Who's Who, right? A very big bucket of disappointing stuff.
So where are we throwing Unmasked? 2 or 1?
1.
Yeah, I got 1.
Yeah, y'all both voted 1. We'll drop it to a 1.
What's chat? What chat could
Jesus got a 1.
1.
Sorry, what is it, Dennis? Sorry, Dennis Detweiler.
Hey,
but again, I will.
There goes that interview. We'll never get that. God damn it! I'm gonna change my thing. It's a 4.
Real fast though. Before we move off of it, the book itself is gorgeous. Yeah. Like the paging, the art, like the
and even the concept for the types works.
Yeah, the types, but what I'm more is like the formatting of the book or like the presentation. Like
Bear did his job because the layout in that phenomenal. Yeah.
That's like, if I had to say something super positive, it's a beautiful book. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous.
This is how you break up properly. You tell them, so they know it's me and not them.
Stop kissing ass. It has
all right,
6 powers in it.
Next book, we'll go with, I think this is The Strange.
Oh.
Is that the Strange cover? Or is this one of the other books?
Yeah, that's The Strange.
All right, so The Strange.
Eric said a 2. I gotta disagree. The Strange is a 4 to me.
Yeah, it's definitely up there because what The Strange did was it inspired Cypher System. Like, let's not play anybody for anything. Like, they had something that was kind of universal, but it had too many extra steps. Again, don't get me wrong. Like translating into recursions, all that, it's cool and all that. But once you strip that away, it's a universal system, and you get Cypher System. So yeah, like it's awesome. It's up there. It inspired Cypher System. I personally will put it at a 3, because of how not weird, but there's not a lot, but there's extra bookkeeping when it comes to going into recursions, keeping track of your second character sheet, all that stuff. Yeah, it's like what Jesus said. It made its impact, and now it rests.
Here's what I have to say about this.
Yeah, but I agree with you. Oh, go ahead, dude.
I'm going to say here, The Strange is a solid 3. Absolutely. And the only reason it's a 3 is because The Strange is in of itself a self-contained game. Even though, like you said, it did inspire the CSR and all of that, but like you said, Al, it had constraints. It had its own lore. It had its own direction and ideology, and it showed the power of the Cypher System, but it didn't explain it the way it should have because it was still too steeped in of itself. And it's a staple. It's if you're the type of person who, like we were talking about earlier, who doesn't necessarily like to create your own stuff, it has a lot of stuff in there for you to use. And you won't feel overwhelmed per se. So yeah, solid 3 for me. Yeah.
I mean, I vote 4 because I'm a firm believer, like what Al said, that they wouldn't have been a Cypher System core rulebook if they didn't experiment with The Strange. But I wouldn't argue if it was a 3. So we'll put it 3, but that means we have to remove something from our 3 list, right?
No. I think I can just keep adding to it. Let me see. Yeah, it just expands.
Okay.
Oh fuck! I didn't mean to put that there. There we go. The Strange. There we go. But either way,
we didn't ask chat.
Yeah, so I can see Eric gave it a 2. Malfectious says 3. The translation prevents it from being a 4, which I agree with. Darian says 2.
Ken says 4. Brilliant Loser says 4. Brian
So
and I
it's-
said
It's averaging out to like
it's
3
averages,
from
yeah, averages.
from the crowd. If it was still being supported, I would say 3. That's a fair point. That is a fair point. That is they are no longer making products for the Strange. That is a fair point.
But you could also view it as it's the first of the world of Cypher books.
Yeah, no,
And it has,
it definitely opened.
and if you put it in that category, it has more books than any of the world's Cypher books because they only have one.
Yeah, but we'll stick it in 3 for now. We'll stick it in 3 for now. All right, gonna move it along here. I don't recognize this cover. I think it's Worlds Numberless and Strange. I could be wrong. Is that it? The one with the light 5 light beams?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll let you go off.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
This is my favorite Cypher System. Oh, actually, this is my second favorite Cypher System book. I know it's not a 4, but I would like to see it on 4, so I'll make my pitch for it. This has like 40 different settings, and it applies for any genre. You basically, Halloween Town. This is one of the best books if you're a GM or a player, because not only does it provide you with 40 micro settings, it gives you ideas of if you were playing a character in that setting, what to create. It gives you foci examples. It gives you, descriptor examples. It's just a great book all in all. I honestly read, this is one of the few gaming books that I read just repeatedly, just to spark ideas when I want to come up with a new one-shot. So, but I know it's not a 4. I wish it was. I will vote 3.
And I will agree with you, Anthony. It is definitely a strong 3, leaning past 3, just because of those reasons. It is stock full of information and inspiration. I can't give it more than that, only because it's still specific to that particular setting, and so a lot of the language kind of leads back to that, and if you're an experienced GM, you can know how to kind of get away from it, but someone who's just starting out might feel a little intimidated by trying to figure it out or whatever the case may be. So yeah, definitely a solid 3 for me.
Yeah, but I think also we could take into account, I think World's Numberless and Strange kind of, like when they were writing the original Cypher core book, they kind of used that as a basis when they started giving the genre, like the little micro genre settings, because a lot of the writing is very similar.
Oh, definitely.
And
Definitely, I would agree.
And I would just agree that it's a 3. Like, again, it's super good for building that inspiration or sparking that creativity. You don't know what you want to run, like you just want to see what sticks to your mind. You flip open Worlds Numberless and Strange and you have 40 different things staring you in the face, and they're all so different, and like there's some really cool things in there, like Jesus had mentioned the King Arthur Technovirus one. I think there's a gray one in
Halloween
there.
Town.
Yeah, Halloween Town. Like there's just so many different cool little things.
They have a zombie setting in there.
Yeah,
the Rebel setting is great.
Yeah.
There's so many.
Yeah, they have a
different
Star
things.
Wars ripoff.
Yeah, the Rebel setting, Star Wars.
But yeah, it's a very solid 3 book. Then we can move it along. Oh, what do you guys think? If anyone else has an opinion, do I gotta throw hands for Jade Colossus placement? Burst of Hope, Jess. That Jade Colossus is where is Jade Colossus? 3 out of 4 is
3.
good. They're coming in late.
Yeah, she wasn't
3 out of
here.
4 Cyphers, aka Stars, aka second best. Look at this.
I'll repost the rankings.
No, you
3 is actually good.
You forgot to change the numbers. It's the numbers are reversed.
No,
1 can't live without. You messed it up.
Oh, I messed it up.
It's reversed.
Yeah. Oh, it's reversed. I'm sorry.
You can't edit it, but think of it: 4 out of 4 stars, 1 out of 4 stars, or we're calling them Cyphers.
Yeah.
Plays the reverse Uno card. Boom. But either way, but yeah, like Jade Colossus' awesome book is 3 out of 4. If you say it should be a 4,
Mal. You know that. You say he won't cast mass confusion. That's the whole reason why I'm on the show.
Ooh boy. Either way, let's keep it moving. Jess can still talk about Jade Colossus if they like. But let's go on to this book that I don't recognize the cover of. What book is this? I think it's a Numenera book. I fully don't recognize the cover, honestly.
Dean, that's the book you put on the list.
Oh yeah. That's the last one we added. What book is that, Dean? You talk about it because you wanted to add it.
Oh, Ninth World Guidebook. That's the Ninth World Guidebook.
There we go.
Which I think is very important. I put it on there because the Ninth World Guidebook kind of falls into that same category what Monty Cook likes to do. It's very much like a travel guide. And, anybody who wants to immerse themselves in Numenera can do it with this particular book. And what I dig about it is that, again, there's so much information in it, but it's so open-ended. It's so easy to inject it where you need it to be. And I think, that concept is just brilliant. I think it's a good book. So it's a solid 3 for me.
I'll be honest. I've skimmed this book. I never really fully read it, but everything that I own it. I just haven't fully read. I got a ton of books to read. So, I don't want to give a hard code. So with that said, I'll go right in the middle and I'll do 2.5 because I don't really know.
I have to be the same way, honestly. Because again, I own it. I haven't read it. I'm horrible at reading stuff. But what Dean said is, if it's like that, a lot like what Monty Cook Games produces, where because this is something that boggles my mind when I go to sit down and read Monty Cook Games like lore building, especially with Numenera, right? It's so detailed, but at the same time so ambiguous. Like, you have as many details or as little detail. It's like they have such a good mix of, like, again, I don't know how you even describe detailed and not detailed at the same time. And if the guidebook is like that, just like all the other Numenera writings, and again, I'm assuming it talks about different spots in the Ninth World, it's definitely would be something, if you're super into Numenera, should probably pick up. Because, again, how they're writing, Monty Cook's Games writing is, like, if you're looking for that super detailed sort of writing, boom, you got mad details. You want to build off stuff, boom, you can build off stuff. And again, I don't even know how to even describe that sort of writing where it's detailed and not at the same time.
What it is, what I tell people this all the time, this is how it was in the early days of gaming. They wrote basically set pieces, and that's what these are. These books are set pieces. They give you pieces to build your world. So, like when I first started playing, the Forgotten Realms wasn't Faerun. It wasn't this full-blown thing. It was just this valley that you would have to go through and find this portal, and you found the Forgotten Realms. So you could put this in your game.
Let me ask you a question, Dean. As someone, you're the only one that actually read the book. Is this useful for a player as well?
Absolutely. Like I said, it's written like a travel guide. It's written more like a travel guide than it's written like a book, a regular book. And to your question, Ken, Anthony and I both have every book.
I will say that I am lacking some books.
I haven't read, and what's crazy too is I've read them. So
and someone chimed in, Three-Headed Monkey, and it has new descriptors and foci. Is if that's accurate, then it's definitely a solid 3 for me.
It does?
Any book that includes descriptors and foci, whether it be just a handful of them, especially for a supplement like this, where it's just like kind of like set pieces, like Dean said, that instantly jumps it up like a whole tier for me.
Now I gotta go look to see what's in there.
And what's crazy is I have them in PDF as well, which is
Yeah, that's just awesome. I didn't know that.
All right, so we all voted solid 3s.
Yes.
Chat, anybody want to chime in on that if y'all have read it? And again, I'm curious as to what like descriptors and foci are in there, because and again, any sort of book that adds any sort of descriptors or foci I want to look at, because that's like the essence of Cypher System. Those are the Lego pieces that fell under the couch for me. They're like they're just there, and I haven't looked at them yet. And once I scoop them in, I'll be able to like use them in my Cypher game. So yeah, thank you, Three-Headed Monkey, for bringing that up.
And just other little things too that are in this book that kind of make it even cooler. I forgot about it. They even have a glossary for you to like for colloquialisms and terminology and how to talk. It's like
that's actually awesome.
Curses and insults. You're Grimbane. You got Kalavawise. Stuff like this. The book is just like I said. It's an awesome book. It's got creatures. It's got it's just got shit. It's a good book.
All right, what's next on the list?
Right, next on the list, but real fast, Ken's saying that he wants to play Numenera. Maybe one of us can make that happen.
Absolutely.
But either way, let's move it on.
But Jess also said.
Oh, did I miss
Jess
something?
still has to run us on something, so maybe Cypher Unlimited and Ken with
play
Jess
Numenera.
as the GM can happen.
Oh, that'd be fun. But either way, moving it along. Let's go with We Are All Mad Here. I'll start off that book, gorgeous book. The topics it touches on are important, like the mental health stuff as far as being tropes within in the fantasy genre. How it's sort of like blanking on how I want to describe this, but again, it touches on these like mental health issues and whatnot, and it's just such an important read once you sit down and read it. Like, I'm not even talking about the setting and like the other character stuff. Just that bit is in there. It felt really nice to see that. I'll let y'all comment on the rest.
But what did you wrote?
No, just that like they the number. Yeah, I would put it at 2.5 to 3 though. Just because something I did feel like was a little bit lacking was I didn't see too many descriptors foci. Like, I know there's some in there. I was hoping for a lot more. That's the only reason for like the 3 rating or 2.5. I was just hoping for more character. But that's like my thing with any book. I'm always hoping for massive character options. But yeah. So I would say 3.
We Are All Mad Here gets a solid 2.5 for me. And it can sometimes lean into a 3. Like I think what Al was saying, there are certain things that it lacked for me. But it's well written, very inspirational. It gives you conceptualizations for doing your fairy tales, and it can, what I kind of dig about is you can take it like really off the rails and do madcap stuff. You can get that. I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Terry Gilliam and Terry Pratchett, those writers and those type of artists. You could do like a crazy Time Bandits type thing, or you could do Monty Python, Life of Brian kind of stuff with it. It's really useful, but in the same breath, there are moments that I think it leans just a tad bit. It's a tad bit heavy in places because of the subject matter when you start talking about mental health and stuff like that. So 2.5 for me.
Me, it's a solid 3. I think what really I find really alluring about this book is that it's not like any other book I've ever read. Like, there's not too many RPGs that not only tackle the subject matter that they do, and it's the way in which they tackled it. This could actually be a 4 for me if I played it more and had more practice in it. But from what I read of it, it makes me want to play it more. And like what Dean said earlier, a lot of what's in the book could be, utilized in all sorts of other games. So not only is it an interesting setting in itself, there's a lot that you could scavenge from it for other games as well. So it has, you could utilize it in many different ways. But I definitely want to play some more of this, and I've never seen a game like it. So for me, it's a solid 3, possibly a 4, the longer I get to, get my hands in actually
Pac-Man,
playing.
we're getting there. We'll answer that question shortly.
But what you call it? Just to close it out, I did play in a We're All Mad Here game. It was run by Synth. It was a one shot. It was really nice. Like, I will say this: the fact that they made a book for the like the fairy tale genre, or whatever that encompasses, is awesome in and of itself, regardless of what's in the book, because it's making people think about the fairy tale genre. And that's just awesome because there's so much to play with in that whole area. So I will just cap off our We're Mad Here by saying that it brought the discussion of fairy tales into Cypher System, and it's just an awesome thing to do.
So what we got, 2 2s and a 3?
No, 2 3s and a 2.5.
So it's a 3 basically.
So just say 3. And Ken said this book put him over the top to back at the highest level for your best game ever, and it did not disappoint.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right, so let's go ahead and throw We're All Mad Here on number 3. Let's move on to a big boy now. Oh, actually, no. Let's save the big boys for last. Let's go with Stay Alive. Stay Alive, big boy. I know.
I want to go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's a 4. Enough said. Put in 4. Best of the Cypher books.
I will
all
agree.
kidding aside, I think it deserves to be a 4, and I'll plead my case. It should be a 5. It should be above everything else.
Hey.
It was the best at creating a toolkit out of all the worlds of Cypher books. Hands
yes.
down.
I will agree.
Not only did it give you a great setting to work with if you wanted to use this setting, it gave you the option of like 20 different micro settings to build any horror campaign. Hands down, is probably the most useful of the worlds of Cypher books. It's almost like having the Cypher core book and a setting book fused into one, in my opinion, if you like horror, which I happen to love. So, for me, it's a hands down as a 4. It's my favorite of the worlds of Cypher books. I can't say enough.
I will agree with you, Anthony. I don't know if you guys caught our review of this particular book. I read the PDF the first night. I got it twice, same night. I was talking to these guys, dude, you gotta read this damn, and it was like,
sure.
I was losing it. Anthony, yeah, he summed it up beautifully. I mean, if you could give a book, a 5, I haven't done that in years. I haven't picked up a supplemental book or even an RPG in years that just compelled me to read it. And I read it twice in the same night. From the time I came in from work, and I was up until like 4 a.m, and then I ran like 5 or 6 adventures like shortly thereafter. And now Halloween is here, and guess what? I'm getting ready to run some more stuff in that book. Yeah. So yes, it gets a 4 here as well. Lovely book. Lovely. Just so many. One of the biggest things about this book is like just some of the ideological mechanics that they added in for narrative push, like the bad penny idea, or the people in the adventure really having to play it out where they don't know that they're in a horror movie. These are like the world that people have never seen a horror movie, so they do stupid things, the bad decision. So many of these things. I mean, oh man.
Yeah, I will just echo that. Stay Alive, easily a 4. Like, I like the genre, the horror genre. Like, it's not a favorite, but it's something I do enjoy quite a lot. And just the fact, like, you get optional rules, you get all the setting stuff, you get the setting itself that it comes with, that vampire setting. They give you a way to make up your own vampire, like what it's weak to, like its power, I think, like all this like cool stuff. And let's not forget the art. Obviously, I always have to mention art. I mean, we could say that for every book, but this one in particular, the cover is amazing. Those hands, like the silhouetted, like everything about this book is just what these guys said times 3, I guess. Add me on it. It's super good, and it also sparked a discussion, I believe, for the consent in gaming. Or I forget if it was that or
Correct.
we're
It
all
was
mad here.
consent in gaming came about because of this particular book.
Yeah, and they even touch on it a little bit in the book. And it's just again amazing. Like all so many good things within this book. If you like the horror genre, this is a must-have. Like literally, buy it right now.
Brian brought up a good point in chat. He said horror is good for seasoning in RPGs. It often shows up occasionally in occasional episodes of other genres.
Yes.
I think that's why they made it a toolkit
In
order for you to use it for other genres, which is
just
brilliant.
so you know, Brian, Spigs and I both we kind of, feed off of each other, and it was crazy because I ran a psychological horror game, and then he did a twist on it, with his game, The Box. It was great, and I think both of those are available on our Cypher Unlimited YouTube channel. Mine is called Phantom Overdrive Overtures, and his is called The Box. So if you want to check it out, it's there for you.
We can probably find a link for that too. Throw it in the description.
Absolutely.
Also throw it in the
Like
chat.
Campbell.
But yeah, like that's an excellent point. Like most, like even like comedy shows, like whatever sort of like show you're watching, there's usually an episode or like a chapter if you're reading a book or whatever where things get kind of scary and get serious for a moment. And like let's say again you're playing this lighthearted game at home, your campaign, you want to mix it up, get real dark for a session. This is what you need to do that. Like there's just so many good things to push you to like push the imagination, I should say, into what you think you could like throw your players into. Like all those like optional rules, like Dean was saying, like the bad penny, the poor decision. Like I think there's even like there's a rule for playing as a ghost. Like you still like once your character dies, you can still actively do stuff in the story. I forget the exact mechanics for it, but all that stuff is there. And yeah,
you basically function as assets for your players, and you can do little things in the world. It just gives you the ideas on the best ways to approach it. It's like you said, great.
I like the Jesus with the Among Us reference. You still got to do your tasks. So just like Among Us, you die, you're a ghost. You still got to do stuff, right? So yeah, I think chat. What do y'all think about Stay Alive?
Eric said a 4.
He said 1, 4.
Yeah,
4 is the best. Yeah, reverse order. Sorry, guys. 4, top 4. 4 stars, 4 ciphers, top tier. I think we can all agree to that. It's just such a good book. Like, it's hard to even say like what's like the bad parts of it. Like, it's just everything is touched on so well. So let's move it on. Now we're up to the big boys now.
Oh, I'm shocked. I thought you guys were gonna fight me on that. I'm happy.
Hell, why would we fight you on that? What? This is an amazing book.
I was the one that was losing my damn mind. Remember, you guys hadn't gotten yours. And
I remember.
Like, read it again.
But yeah, now let's go on to Numenera 2, the big boy. One of the big boys, Discovery and Destiny, Numenera 2. Guys, it's an easy 4. Like we 4. All know.
Do we even if it wasn't for Numenera, we wouldn't be having this video, having this discussion. I wouldn't be wearing this shirt. Like a lot of things would be happening.
Numenera. Okay.
I can say this about Numenera. I remember when I first got it back in 2013 when I did the Kickstarter, and for 2 years, I couldn't get a game. I just knew it was special, and I couldn't figure it out. But I kept going back to it, and the lore kept drawing me in, and it wasn't until I had my paradigm shift, and that's when I realized that I had to approach this a different way, and it just filled all of those niches that I was missing, because I was in gamer burnout at that point. I was like, I don't want to. I don't know. I don't play D&D. Fuck Shadowrun. I was like an old curmudgeon, and Numenera rekindled my passion, my love. So
I have a question for the audience. Since we put Discovery and Destiny as one, combo, it's definitely a 4. I'm just wondering if the chat would rate Discovery and Destiny differently if there were 2 separate books that they had to vote on.
Well, while they touch on your question.
Yes, I agree.
I will say that what Jesus said, I actually didn't play Numenera because I like generic systems. Honestly, I didn't play Numenera for a long time. I played Cypher System basically strictly for the longest time, even though I obviously knew a little bit about it. Actually, I don't think I owned the Numenera books for a while either. It was the Cypher System books for a while until, like, we got Cypher Unlimited roll and we saw how popular Numenera was. I was like, I guess I might as well own these books, see what all the hullabaloo is about, But because I wasn't in the original, like, I didn't kickstart Numenera, the first one. Like, I came in when Cypher System was new.
Eric, you have had the worst. I'm sorry, Eric has the worst luck with MCG books. He talks about the bindings breaking. He talks about his slipcase cracking. Dude, I don't know what the hell they must just like send you all the defects.
But to continue what I was saying, yeah, that's such bad luck. But you keep, even though I am a fan of the generic system, there's no denying that Numenera was the catalyst for everything. Without Numenera, there would be no Cypher System, and that again, we also have to look at how popular it is. People love the shit out of Numenera. Like, pretty much all the games on Cypher Unlimited are, like, I would say, like, 80% Numenera. Like...
Not only that, it's so popular that people that refuse to play the Cypher System went and purchased it for 5e just so they could play in the setting,
Exactly. Like, it's the... It has so much just... It's like, I guess, the whale of the Monte Cook games, like Empire, I guess, if that's the right terminology, right? That's the book everybody knows. That's the setting everybody knows. That's the setting everybody wants to play. Like, when you start talking about Cypher System, which we're going to do soon, there starts becoming a mixed bag of opinions. Not really too much on Cypher Unlimited, but it becomes mixed because there's not that one solid setting behind it. When you start looking at Numenera, even though they're the same gameplay mechanics, you get more of a consensus because there is that set setting behind it. People enjoy having that same thing to talk about. When you want to talk to Cypher System about, or excuse me, when you want to talk about Cypher System with someone, you have to, like, hey, I'm talking about it in this sort of fashion. I'm thinking about it in a horror sense. I'm thinking about it in adventure, whatever sense you're thinking about it in. When you're going to talk about it, Numenera, everybody's already on the same page already. Like, that in itself brings it to a 4. Like, even though I might not think it's a 4, I do think it's a solid 3 personally, because I'm more on the side of generic systems. But it's a 4 regardless, because of all the influence it's had, how popular it is, etc.
I mean, it's a 4 if I voted for. It's just, the Monte Cook games started because of Numenera, and Monte Cook games will end if Numenera ends.
It's a fact.
It's the alpha. It's Omega. It's over.
Yeah,
it's a 4.
Dean, any last words or any y'all last? Oh, well, let's go back to the question you asked. Like, if people had to rate the book separately, because some people.
I think somebody said they would.
Yeah, so
Just for a couple of 4s and 4s.
So Burst of Hope just was like, Discovery 1000% essential, Destiny essential for anyone with a table that's just as invested as you to the campaign. Which makes sense. That community building, you don't want to be too invested in the community building if your players aren't invested in it, right? Yep. Like, it makes sense.
Now, Al,
what?
Al.
Oh.
Real quick, before you go to the next big boy, you forgot one of the extra books because you probably didn't realize we had.
No, I was reading that for the last, buddy. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm sorry.
What the fuck?
And we spoke about it before we completely
ruined the reveal, even though it's there. Like,
I thought we were doing the other one last.
No, Gods of the Fall. I mean, excuse me, God for. Either way, like, let's do God Forsaken now. Fuck it, it's up there.
No. Save it for last. Right. Save it for last because we know what the obvious is.
Cypher System revised book. We're talking about that now. Numenera is a 4 up there. 3-4 from the audience. We'll throw it at a 4 because it's a 4. Now Cypher System revised.
Four, hands down.
all across the board from us here. Yeah. I can understand why it might be a 2 or a 3 for others because it is
Eric
generic.
is only saying 3 is because he sleeps with a GURPS book underneath his pillow every night. There's no way in hell you could not have Cypher System core book.
Yeah, that is easily a 4. What you call it? There's just too much in it. There's advice for running many genres. There's all the character, like so many different focus. Like, you know, this is the book if you want to run stuff. Like, oh, go on.
If you want to run open generic systems.
I was going to answer Techman's question because he had asked earlier.
Something about the Cypher core specifically. It was about the you might not be able to scroll that far back. It was about here we go. What do we think about the guidelines in the Cypher version 2 book about creating homebrew descriptors, type foci, blah 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 to fit into desired genre? Excellent. Like they give
and much needed as well. It clarified a lot of things for a lot of people on the server.
Well, put it this way, you know, I mulled over the original Cypher System rulebook to understand what they were doing with foci. And I can tell you when when revised edition came out, it just opened my eyes. It was beautiful. It was brilliant. You know, low tier, mid tier, high tier. You know, it just made everything fall into place. That book is a love affair. We love this book. My favorite book of all the books, to say the least. So yeah.
Ken brought up a good point. He said everyone was doing it anyways. That shows you that MCG really listened to their fan base and really saw what their fan base was doing, like the type of stories they were creating and the type of characters they were creating on their own just by being creative. So they changed the way the character structure was to help the fans, you know, better create the characters. They, you know, better create the stories they wanted to tell. And you know, that's a testament to Monica Games. It shows you that they listen to.
And I'm gonna say this, you know, and I've said it before. I've even said it, you know. I know they were watching us because, you know, player intrusions. We were doing it. We were doing it first.
On video.
Wait, did we actually have a video with player intrusions on before? I don't remember.
GM Roulette had player intrusions, and that was before the Cypher revised.
Our first year, we used player intrusions.
Either way, though, this phenomenal book. Like, there's no denying it's a 4. But again, if you're I can see how someone who would put Numenera as a 4 would put this as like something like a 2. Because it's generic. Like, there's no, like, if you don't have like something in mind that you want to do, it might be rough for you to look at the Cypher System core book and actually get something out of it, right? I mean, it does have a lot of inspiration and whatnot in it, but if you're super wishy-washy in your own mind, it'd be hard to look at all this and be like, hey, this is awesome, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot in it. But I think that's the only real detraction I could have for it, really. Like, there's too much. Like, if you're, like, undecided, unsure of what you want to do, there might be too many options presented at you. But I will say this, as a player, if you know, this is definitely a must-have if you like Cypher System. Even if you already own this, the original Cypher core book, and even, like, you can still run with the original Cypher core book. Like, that thing is not obsolete. Like, it changed a bit, obviously. But the really big, important part of the Cypher revised book is how they broke down the powers. Like, there's low-tier powers, mid-tier, high-tier. And it really broke it down that you can construct your own with ease now. Like, you could do it before just by picking, like, a tier 1 ability from somewhere, tier 2 or whatever. You have to look all over the book. Now it's all just right there for you. It's too good.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, we saw all Cypher guys. Everybody knows that. But, yeah, you know we were going to vote a 4. But I could definitely see your point. I could see how, someone would say, hey, it's a generic book with no setting. It automatically gets a 3 or 2 for me for that reason alone. And I can't fault them.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I can, but I'll just wait till it's off stream and then talk about you behind your back.
Oh, but I think everybody in the chat also agreed that it's a 4. If we got a 5 in there too. Well, I think Eric gave it a 3.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Eric gave it a 3.
So did Ken.
But either way, I think that's good enough. We got that at a 4. We have to,
Hey, before we do our last one, is World's Numberless and Strange a 2 on our chart?
Yes. What should it be? Was it a 2 or 3?
I thought it was a 3, but how do we got so many 3s? There got to be a 2 in there. There has to be 1 2 in that.
I might have moved it by mistake.
Here's a 1. Remember, we have
Unmasked as a 1.
1.
I mean, the 3 is like 3 is a solid like.
World's Numberless is a 3. It was solid 3.
You guys are some fanboys.
I do agree with
Your
Eric.
best game ever is a 2.
Putting Strange at a 2, mostly because of.
Oh, you're gonna have Stars of Fire as a 3 and Strange as a 2? That would make no
Stars
sense.
of Fire is a 2.
No, Stars of Fire is a 3 on this list. How are you gonna have that ahead of the Strange? That makes 0 sense.
Either way, let's go and talk about the last book.
I said Stars of Fire.
Oh, because there is a lot of we already talked about it. I don't want to drag on the video talk about why the Strange could potentially be a 2. But either way, God's Forsaken, the next book coming out from Monty Cook Games. This is going to be a purely speculative rating. From us, from you.
I'm hoping. Because I've been looking forward to this book more than like any of the other books from this last group of toolkits coming out, and I'm hoping for a solid 3. I could pray 4 or 5, but I want a solid 3. From the preview, I'm a little bit on the fence with it, so
I actually haven't looked at the preview. I wasn't aware there was one, but what Eric said real quick in there, if magic isn't good, it's a 1. I'm gonna have to agree with that. Like, they're gonna really have to do something with the magical component, because that is a huge complaint or like comment from the community, is when they go to play Cypher System, they're like, how do we make magic feel like magic? You know what I mean? Like, that is definitely a comment that comes up a ton. And if they don't hit on the magic in a very great way, it's definitely going to lower the rating to like a 2 or a 1 for a lot of people. And I will be one of those people. However, they can redeem themselves by doing what they did with Stay Alive, where if they have a lot of optional rules or like setting advice, like as far as like running a fantasy setting, a high magic fantasy setting, I should say, even if they might not have the mechanics for it, if they give good advice for doing it narratively, that could potentially redeem it.
I can't. No, not necessarily Invisible Sun granularity. Ken, I don't think people don't want that, because that's kind of already what Cypher does. It kind of leaves things too much in their court. Now, I do have some ideas that I can't really talk about at the moment because of other things going on, but let's just say one way or another, people will have a magic system that works within the realms of Cypher System. I guarantee it.
I think we've always had this. I think the biggest argument is that people want magic system that feels like a fantasy magic system.
Yes.
Not necessarily a modern day magic system. And that's the one thing Cypher is lacking. But I'm a vote. This is going to be a 4, and I'll tell you why from my perspective. This is going to be a 4 because out of all the Worlds of Cypher books, this is the only one that Monty Cook directly is writing out of all of them. I don't know if you guys noticed that. So with the combination of Tolis and this, let's not fool ourselves. Monty Cook got the illest pen game. When it comes to his pen game for the Monty Cook Games team, he's the best writer out of everybody. And so I'm expecting the same level of what he gave us with Numenera, what he gave us with Tolis. I'm expecting the same thing with Godforsaken. So I think this is going to be an easy 4.
Just from a few of the things that I do know and have heard, Godforsaken is not Tolis, but it will link with it very well, according to my understanding of how things are set up. Like I said, I personally am looking absolutely and utterly forward to Tolus, to God Forsaken, and once again, shameless plug. I'm working on the Diamond Throne, so yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that one too. So, yeah,
it's like what Brian said. Fantasy is the genre for RPGs, so God Forsaken really has to come out strong. What you call it? The fact that they're competing again, not really competing with Tolus because they're making it side by side, but the fantasy genre, like everybody that like D&D is the big fantasy, like they're gonna have to like do something to kind of, I mean, they're not gonna overshadow D&D by any means, by anything, but if they do the magic right, or like the setting itself, the fantasy setting, hopefully it could bring some D&D people over. That would be fantastic. People are on the fence thinking about it, because fantasy seems to be what drives the people who enjoy D&D. They really enjoy that setting, that sort of atmosphere. And with Godforsaken and Tolus coming out, hopefully we might get some new converts.
Yeah. So I say 4. What you said, Al?
I'm like I said, I'll pray for a solid 3 if I can get a 4 out of it. If it can pull a stay alive.
Yo, what are you running for Congress? Pick a number.
I said 3.
I will say, all right. I'm hoping for a 4.
I'm just buzzing.
I'm hoping for that 4, because if they pull it out like they did with Stay Alive, if they do what they did for the horror genre with Stay Alive, with the fantasy genre and Godforsaken, this book is gonna be the bomb. Like, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be freaking amazing, and that's really what we're hoping for here. I mean, at least what I'm hoping for. And again, if they don't come out as strongly, again with the setting stuff and then with the magic stuff, it's easily gonna tumble down to a 2 or a 1. But as Anthony pointed out, it's Monty Cook writing it, or at least in part writing it, and he always knocks it out the park, and we can't, evidence in the past just says he's going to knock it out the park.
So what are you going, 3, Al?
I would say 3. I'm going to say 3 just because I'm a little scared about the magic and the fact that they're going to make the fantasy setting so really grasp you to the point like, hey, I don't even want to look at D&D anymore or whatever. Like, that's going to be really what bumps it to the 4.
I just think with Tolus and with this and Monty Cook's pen game, 4.
Like I said, Monty Cook and Sean, Sean did do Stay Alive. So, they're working together. It's like a dynamic duel. They've worked together for years, on other stuff. And yeah, I'm hoping, like I said, I would say 4, but solid 3, I'll be okay with it.
What's the chat saying?
Eric Franco said,
just because of the things you have on 3 put me down. I can't rate it.
Yeah, I agree with Eric though. We have too many things in the 3
category.
I mean,
you know what, Eric? No, I'm not gonna say. You know what? You have specific things you look for, and you know what? Those are things that I look at, and I'm looking at it through the lens of a experienced player. So that's why things get a 3. Because me and you've had these discussions, and I understand what you're talking about, but I don't need them. And it is what it is. But yeah, if you're talking about it for newer players, yeah, there are specific things that should be in the book to kind of lead you along.
No, what I'm saying is that it's a pretty top heavy list. And don't get me wrong, I'm the biggest MCG fan, but I also don't want to be a fanboy.
All right, yo, all right. So how about this?
You understand what I'm saying?
How about this for follow up? All right, it seems like most people are in the chat are leaning towards hoping it's a 3 or a 4, and there is the potential for it to be a 1 or a 2 book, and that's clearly the case. Like that's obviously, what it could be. But what you call it? It's for a follow up for this. What we can do, each of us individually will make our own little tier list based off this template, and I'll post a template if y'all want to play with it too.
Yeah.
And then you'll see what we personally have as our tier list, and we'll add it to the YouTube description.
I'm more interested in chat if they could post their list on the YouTube or post it on the Discord server.
Let me share the template. How do I share the template? Share this template on Twitter. I can only share it on Facebook or Twitter. Can I just share this
Oh
link?
no,
Does that
we
work?
can share. We can share it on the Discord server, couldn't we?
No, I'm just wondering how I share it. Does the link work? Like, I don't know. Like, so click that link. Tell me if it brings up a what you call it, an empty tier list for you to fill out yourself, or if it links you to our already filled out one. It should link you to one that.
It gave us an empty one.
Awesome. So yeah, if you want to fill out your own tier list, go for it based on what we did today. Eric says he's gonna record a video on it. Be on the lookout for that. It's gonna be something. I will say that. Eric, a very opinionated man, but always very good opinions. With his application, do it. But yeah, we'll definitely share that out once he puts his video out as well. But I think we've come to the end of our discussion here. It's been
just for the sake of, if you guys do not follow Eric Frankhouse Presents, please do. He's on YouTube and Twitch. He's awesome. We bust each other's chops. Eric knows he's one of my favorite people in the world.
I don't have his links ready, but Eric,
follow Eric Frankhouse Presents.
If you have your links ready, Eric, post them. I know it's just basically anywhere you want to look for him. Just look up Eric Frankhouse Presents or EFP.
And he's a 3-time INGM winner, so he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. So definitely check him out. Ken as well. Ken Davidson, awesome guy. Yeah. He's been chatting around. Look him up as well. Again, I don't have any links handy, but if you want to post your stuff. Jess as well. I know Jess has been doing some stuff. All y'all are so awesome. Y'all have all been doing a ton of great stuff. But we're not here to, if you want to post your links, like I didn't have anything ready. I didn't expect to see y'all. Post your links in the chat. Anything you want to share about your guys' stuff, like your Twitters, your whatever you've been making lately, your drive-through RPG links, all that shit, post it. Because we're wrapping up here. We probably got like 5 more minutes, so you got a couple minutes to throw your links in there.
And make sure we do a raid.
Oh yes, find someone for us to raid. Yes, find someone who's live right
Grant
now.
Ellis is online. We can raid Grant.
That works. So
yeah, like what Al said. If if you agree with our list, let us know. If you think we're idiots, let us know that too. Because I'm kind of doubting our list right now. So I'm sure your guys have opinions on it as well. And please support our channel if you can. Like, share, subscribe on our YouTube videos when this will be up tomorrow on YouTube. Follow us on Cypher Unlimited on Discord, Twitch. We everywhere. Purchase our merch. I'm sure Al will be posting the links for our merch as well. You can get cool hoodies like this. Get your pen game up like Al.
This is our you want to play some fucking dinosaur shirt?
And I'm the one who wears the shirts.
Last but not least, we love you guys, and let's play together. Come to the Cypher Unlimited Discord server. We got close to 4,000 members. We can use 4,001, and we'd love to have you there if you haven't been there yet.
And I will just say this. Big shout out for Warpaint. Awesome setting by Eric Frankhouse. When can we expect to see that? Because we need to see that ASAP. It's awesome. But either way, just to piggyback off what Anthony was saying, we are newly Twitch affiliated. This is only our second Twitch stream as affiliates. If you want to subscribe, drop some bits, drop a follow. All that stuff would help us so much in growing the channel even more. Maybe one day we can be partners, but that's a long goal down the way. But everything helps towards that. Y'all being here, following bits, all that stuff helps us so much. And again, we wouldn't be affiliates without y'all. So thank you all so much for all the support. And yeah, this has been an amazing stream. Oh, thank you, Eric, for the sub. We really appreciate it. Helps us out a lot. And thank you for the congrats. Thank you all for stopping by. Dean, any last words before I get us out of here?
Oh yeah, just real quick. Everybody wants just to echo Al. Thanks a lot. And I wear my fanboy badge proudly. I don't care. I like Cypher System like that. I just did my list. I'm gonna post it to Al. You guys will see that I do have more threes than anything. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, I want to see Eric and Dean's list next to Dean has all 4s, Eric has all 1s.
No, I got a bunch
nothing in the middle. It's like an Oreo cookie, though. The white's in the middle. You can't see anything.
And then but the Oreo would be complete because I'm sure Dean has at least one book, and then what is it? Eric has at least one 4 book. Oh, but
believe it or not, I have more 3s than anything, but I have 3 in everything else. I had 3 1s, I got 3 2s, and I got 3 4s.
But yeah, let's see those tier list people. Post them up in the YouTube comment once we do it, or on Discord. Join the Discord. And yeah, thank you guys so much for stopping by. We should wrap this up. It's been almost 2 hours. We'll see you guys on the Discord. It's we love you guys so much. Thank you so much for stopping by. And yeah, from us at the CU, we will see you later.
Bye, guys.
See you later.